So, you know, I heard your comments and I've seen the ads from concerned citizens, and I take these things very seriously. We all do. But what we found when we investigated is there's no mention of crime. There's no mention of prostitution or toxic waste or noise or pollution. The communities these leaders live in and care about, they had nothing but good things to say about Love's. A company that draws unsavory characters and is a breeding ground for crime, that's not Love's. Jason Wallace couldn't be with us tonight, but he was nice enough to prepare a letter that he asked me to read for and on his behalf. As a business owner with a business located on Barnes Road in Williamstown, the entire letter, I'm more than happy to read it word for word. And if that's the pleasure of the council, I'd be more than happy to do that. Otherwise, I thought I would go through and read some of the highlights from it. And anyone's welcome to take a look at this letter after the meeting if they'd like. Jason is in San Diego tonight on business, and otherwise he would have been here to speak on behalf of this development. His perspective comes from that as a business owner and resident of Barnes Road. And he feels strongly about speaking out about this issue. His concern was that a lot of what he's heard said about this development are anecdotal statements that don't seem to be supported by any facts, and that Love's has backed up every statement they've made. That the mayor has made it crystal clear that the city's tax base is hurting and Love's is shovel ready. They're not asking for any money, not one dime. Proven track record of attractive buildings and professional grounds maintenance. They'll increase the tax base overnight and employ local residents that desperately need jobs. They're committed to address the traffic pattern issues with minimal disruption. He can speak from personal experience because he lives in Richwood, Kentucky. There's not one, not two, but 3 travel centers off his exit. I have yet to experience the kinds of delays, wrecks, hazards, waste spills, and other conjecture I've heard bannered back and forth. I've also heard some say that a travel center will stifle residential development because people will not build in a city where a travel center is located. I invite each person in this room to visit my wife and I at our home in Triple Crown. I drive right by travel centers, 3 of them, to Paddock Road, to Paddock Drive, to proceed through Heritage Trails to where I live, where I make a left turn onto Secretariat Run into Triple Crown. The drive through this residential area takes me past some of the most beautiful and expensive homes in our area. In conclusion, I don't want our city to make a decision based on conjecture, hyperbole, or innuendo. I want this decision to be made with facts. Right now, the fact is our city needs revenue, and the majority of the negativity is not backed up by factual data. Please don't let our city's future be decided by the uncivil discourse that has taken place to date. Let's have a rational discussion and make this decision based on facts. Thank you for your time tonight. My invitation stands for anyone here to visit my home. I welcome you with open arms, even if we have differing opinions. We invited one other person here to speak tonight, Denny French. Denny came over from Gallatin County. He was nice enough to come over and share some thoughts about what Love's has meant to his community and the business that he's come to know as a resident there in their local community. I'd like to invite you up, Denny.
Mayor, members of council, my name is Denny French. From 2007 to 2011, I was the Deputy County Judge Executive for Gallatin County and also the Planning and Zoning Administrator for Gallatin County. During that time, this project started in Gallatin County, and when I was the Planning and Zoning Administrator, they were great to work with, and they did everything that we had asked them to do, and becoming a part of the community. And everything that, I don't know if you've ever been there, but every time you go in there, everything is clean and neat. Everything's well taken care of. And there's a lot of traffic that comes in and out that has been a boom to Gallatin County. And we have not had any problems other than just the growth that comes with that in the trucks and in the car traffic, but it has been an asset to Gallatin County. I also, for the last 34 years, have pastored at Paint Lick Baptist Church, and on Wednesday night we have a kids program, and over the years in Gallatin County, jobs for our young people have just been none. We just have not had any job. The only restaurants that we have had has been a Dairy Queen, and it's hard to employ 400 or 500 kids in one Dairy Queen. But when this travel center came and the Subway and the McDonald's came in, a lot of our children, a lot of our teenagers that was in that program on Wednesday night, they begin to get jobs, and they begin to make a difference. And the other night I was out at McDonald's, and one of the girls that was in that program, she is working there. And I can see a tremendous difference in them because they was given an opportunity to work, and it was a valuable asset to them. And many of them have told me what it means to them, and not only from the economic standpoint that the county receives in the benefits of the tax dollars and the money, but what it means to those children to work part-time, to have a job, to make money, get them off the street, get them busy. It's really made a tremendous difference in Gallatin County. And, you know, if we had the room and the facility, I would welcome another one right beside of it. It would be greatly accepted as far as I'm concerned in Gallatin County. And so I appreciate the privilege to stand and speak to you. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer for you. Thank you.
Good evening. Again, my name is Doug Poor, and I represent the team that's working through the development. So on behalf of the group, thank you once again. As we wrap up our discussions today, we want to focus on a couple other concerns raised by the constituency here in the community, as well as council. And Kenny, it's interesting you bring up working at Subway, because that was my high school job. In fact, my first 2 years of college, I spent working as a sandwich artist at Subway and helped put myself through. So we do look at this community as our own. I remember spending most of my weekends with my aunt and my grandma and working on the farm. And that's the farm that we look to hopefully build the community and bring jobs to the community, as well as revenue to each of the tax entities. With respect to the property itself, let us recognize that the current zoning allows for 10 lots. So tomorrow, we could entertain an offer from any type of large retailer and 9 others. The current plan, as approved and as allowed to break ground tomorrow, would call for 1,000 parking spots. 10 locations, 1,000 parking spots. What we're asking for planning and zoning, or at least the opportunity to move forward to planning and zoning, is 4 lots with 250 cars and 115 truck, RV, and motorhome spots. So relative to the traffic study that was shared with you last time, recognize that this plan is actually a reduction in the traffic that is approved today. One of my roles within our development group has been to call prospective business owners. Over the course of the last 5 years, you can imagine that's been pretty difficult. But back in 2007 and 2008, when the market was better, I was making those calls one after another after another. Every single one of them said, "What's your traffic? How many people pass through that area? That's not enough. Call us back when you have traffic." Sounds odd, doesn't it? All of these prospective business owners want to see additional people coming into the community. The next question, how many households do you have? How many rooftops? How many people actually live there? What is the income? Those 3 things dictate whether or not a business will locate in Williamstown. Traffic count, households, and income. On all 3 cases, they asked me to call back when the numbers improved. Where do we start? We start with one development. as you saw in other communities, whether it be Richwood or Florence or Union. Each started with a travel center or truck stop and grew from there. So while we look at the traffic, recognize that we do believe that the proposal in front of council for consideration to move forward will ultimately reduce the traffic count as earlier agreed to. When they're speaking about lack of development, it's interesting to look at each of the Loves across the Commonwealth and see what's been built up around them. Because one thing we heard last time was putting a Loves in the community is going to prevent other businesses from locating there. The opposite. The exact opposite occurs. For anyone that travels, something that we've done quite a bit as a family, you travel the interstates and you stop by a Loves, and you stop by there next year, and the year after, and the year after that, you'll continually see new developments. So if you stop by the Loves in Corbin, well, there's the Sonny's Barbecue. There's the Cracker Barrel next to it. Oh, there's the Fairfield Inn, and there's the Hampton Inn, right next to Loves, all doing great business. If you stop at the Loves in Calvert City, what do you see? Well, you see the McDonald's, you see the Waffle House, you see the Super 8. So as each Loves enters the community, they're often the pioneer. They're there to invest, give back to the community, and hopefully grow other development. Because again, that's what we're all looking for within Williamstown. So when we look at other concerns raised by adjoining property owners, what we have worked with Loves and what we would continue to work with other potential buyers of the property is making sure we're good business partners and good stewards of what the community is looking for. So we would propose a no trucks beyond this point sign. So immediately at the end of our property, a sign at the resident's choosing as far as size and structure, but we want to make sure that no one passes that property and they do in fact turn in. We'll also propose a tree line buffer. So along the entire property line, making sure that we have a tree line buffer between prospective development and any residential owners. We're also going to ensure lighting is up to current standards. So we all know that when you're coming into certain communities, when they have the old lights that have been in place for 20, 30 years, it's like a beacon for that community because those lights don't conform to the newest standards. Certainly Loves and other operators within our business development would conform to the newest lighting standards to make sure the light stays on the property. And certainly, we want to hear from citizens. We recognize that many will speak later today or later tonight, and we will take any and all feedback. And hopefully, what we've seen or you've seen today is representative of what we will do to make sure that feedback is incorporated, and we again build a better community. So, before we turn it over to individuals looking to speak in support or perhaps in opposition of the proposal in front of the council today, I'd simply ask one thing. It's October, it's Halloween season, and a lot of fear is there. What we've presented today are facts. We ask that each person that shares their thoughts share facts. Because when we look at Loves as an organization, we know what the governor of Oklahoma says, that they are by far the best corporate citizen in their state. We recognize what 290 other communities have said, that they are a great tax-paying entity and one that gives back to the community through 2% of their profits to the local hospitals. They also donate certainly additional dollars to the community. So we look at this in uncertain economic times. So every other prospective buyer that I spoke to and most hung up on me saying, not interested, not interested. Loves has been with us in looking to work with Williamstown throughout the entire downturn. They are shovel ready. They require zero financing. They are ready to start construction and bring jobs to the community tomorrow if given that chance. This will have an immediate impact on the community. And while we can debate all the numbers, and certainly we could spend another 5 hours doing that, I think we would all agree that with unemployment here in Williamstown higher than the national average. Last count, still over 8%. There are people that need work, and they'll take work. They'll take full-time jobs, which is what Love's prefers. They're giving benefits and health care coverage to the employees. Those dollars will be injected in the community. We know that the cost of a Love's is $7 million. And that $7 million is going to be spent not only locally, but throughout the rest of the area. From a tax standpoint, $185,000 in tax revenue if we see the project through fruition. And we know a couple other business owners are ready to move. In fact, they were ready last time and had to be turned away to other communities very close to us. But they're ready to move, and we can build that tax base. And I think of that split, that 30%, 80% to school, or the 0.8% to the schools and 0.3% to the city. What would $100,000 do to the Williamstown School District? How many teachers could they hire? And what would the additional revenue be for the city? So before I turn it over to Rick, I would just simply ask that we look at the facts. And those facts will tell you that it's going to have an immediate economic impact, dollars in people's pockets that are from the outside. It's going to bring new jobs, net new jobs to the community, and it's going to increase taxes. So one thing's certain. When you're in a community and tax revenues are going down, as we've heard about here in Williamstown, and expenses are going up, there's two ways to go about it. Build business from the outside, or ultimately come back to you as residents. This is an opportunity to bring revenue from the outside and build up the community. So with that, I would, again, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Rick and Loves to speak specifically about the project and share some updates that they have.
Honorable Mayor and council members, my name is Rick Sheffield, and I'm Director of Real Estate and Development with Love's Travel Stops, and I appreciate the opportunity to come before you this evening. I'm not going to put slideshows up because really a lot of the information that I wanted to share with you is a duplication of some of the information that the others have already shared with you. But I did, in the last meeting that I was at, I took quite a few notes relative to some of the issues that were being raised both by the council and by the local citizens. And I think it's appropriate that I just kind of hit on some of the highlights for clarification purposes. And then I certainly want to open up any questions that the board may have. I'll be happy to answer anything that I can at this point. As mentioned, and I know we're talking a lot about a specific company and a specific project, and you're talking about a text change, which is even broader in scope. But the reality is, everybody's here really to discuss Love's and what this development would mean to the city. As everybody's aware, we're proposing to locate at the intersection of Barnes Road and I-75. This project is going to include 16 fueling points for cars, 8 fueling points for trucks, a building of approximately 10,000 square feet. They will have retail, a couple restaurants, and other amenities that the traveling public looks for when they're driving down the interstate. In addition, and I can't recall whether this was brought up last time, but Love's rolled out an initiative a couple years ago with our tire care facilities to provide emergency tire service really for the truck drivers. Really, it was an add-on as far as a business segment to us that was requested by our customers because of the immediate need and the lack of available services really throughout the country. When you need a tire for safety purposes. And what we were able to find is not only were we able to provide that service for our customers, but we got an extremely good benefit out of it from a standpoint of increased level of proficiency, cleanliness, and actual observations of our locations, because the reality is our tire business, we don't sell very many tires. Right now, we're selling an average of 28 tires per location per week. So you do the simple math, that's 4 tires a day. Well, that leaves a lot of opportunity for those people that's manning that location, because it's manned 24 hours a day, to help increase the cleanliness, maintain awareness on your parking lot, and make sure that your store is being maintained even to a higher level than what we operated in the past. And I felt like that was an important thing to bring out, because one of the concerns that was mentioned was just the sheer number of truck parking spaces. When we're talking about, you know, how many car customers we have, well, why do you have so many truck parking spaces? Well, the reality is we have that many truck parking spaces because our customers ask for them. There's new hours of regulations that the trucking companies have to operate under, and after the truck drivers drive a certain period of time, they have to rest, and they have to have a place to be able to go. And we provide that as a service to them. We get them off of the interstates, we get them off of the off-ramps, and we give them an opportunity to locate and stay in a safe place while they get their needed rest. There were several questions brought up concerning the traffic and what the impact was going to be in our location. Well, there's absolutely no doubt that we're going to impact traffic at that location. That's what we do. We want a lot of traffic there, but we want to do it in a manner that is designed to be able to handle the amount of traffic that we're anticipating having. Just as a reminder, the way that our customer base typically works is whatever side of the interstate you're on, normally 65 to 70% of that traffic comes from the side that you're on. So you're asking, well, what does that mean? Well, what it means at this location is that 65 to 70% of that traffic is going to be coming southbound. They're going to make a right-hand turn movement, never pass anybody, make a right-hand turn movement into our location, use their services, make a left out, and then another right back onto the interstate. That is about as safe a situation as you can get. Not to mention the fact that there's, you know, very limited amount of traffic anyway. In addition, you know, whoever, and I'm not sure how long that interchange has been there because I didn't do that research, but one of the problems that we typically run into is a design shortfall. But when you look at the design of this overpass, the design of the off-ramps, this interchange was built appropriately to handle what has happened throughout the United States, which is commercial development and interchanges, because that's how people get around. And this particular interchange is well built to handle the amount of traffic that we're planning on putting in there, in addition to additional development. When you look at it, because of where we're situated, and you know, as I told you, 65 to 70%, well, there's most definitely going to be traffic coming over the bridge. There's no doubt about it. But look at who we're impacting. The impact is extremely minimal. You know, they're getting off northbound, they're coming to a stop sign, they're going over the bridge. We're not even impacting any businesses right there at the interchange. And besides the fact, we have to go through a very rigid process with the state of Kentucky. You may, in you know, your decision making, decide that yes, this is something that you want to consider. We still have a myriad of approval processes that we have to go that even go beyond your legislative body. We have to prove to the state of Kentucky that what we're putting there can be safely operated, and safely operated for a large number of years based on the traffic studies. Hazardous spills were brought up, and you know, do spills happen? Sure they do. And what I'm going to tell you is that we probably have more, not at our location, but I'm going to say hazardous spills being diesel tanks with ruptures and that sort of stuff, because the trucks come to our location with that. But I'll ask you this, where would you rather them go? You want them to stay on the side of the interstate where it can't be effectively handled, and so that the diesel or whatever fluid they have just runs off into the environment? Our locations, each one of them, have a spill prevention and containment and countermeasure plan that is done by a licensed engineer. Not only do we do it site specific to that location, we train our crew and management on it, and there's continual retraining on it. We have materials on our site to be able to handle, to contain spills, such as booms, which will prevent large spills from getting off when draped in front of your drainage areas. It lets water through, but it contains back chemicals, diesel, and other things like that. And we have those materials on hand to be able to handle them. In the event that there is a larger issue, we also hire not only one company locally to handle on an emergency response basis, we have two. So we have a very rigid program to handle any potential problems that might come up within the facility. And when I'm saying we have problems, we don't have very many problems, by the way. It is very rare, and I know everybody has Google, so you can search. Think about the fact that Love's will probably see 200+ million visitors this year alone. And then when you're looking at the Google search where 5 or 6 different instances came up, they happen. I mean, that's just a statistical fact. Not because of something we did, but we're there to handle the problem. The quality of jobs was brought up, and I'm not really going to get into the multiplying effect and that kind of stuff, but I want to make sure that you understand what Love's is planning on doing. Love's is going to hire between 6 and 8 management positions. We'll hire 3 to 5 shift managers, 8 to 11 maintenance and technician positions, and between 22 and 40 crew positions. That is what Love's will do. As previously indicated, we like to hire full-time. As a company philosophy, we have found the benefits of having somebody on a steady shift so they know what they're working all the time, offer them benefits, major medical, dental, vision, 401k, and those sorts of things. They might not be making $100,000 a year. They may be making $10 or $12 an hour. But for a lot of people, that works just fine. They know what they need to do. They have their families. They have other things they want to do. And for those people that are aggressive and want to make more money, we offer those opportunities within our organization. There's a multitude of managers within our organization that started out as crew, including a couple of our VPs in our organization right now that worked their way up. So the opportunities exist, and I would certainly argue with anybody that says that they're poor jobs. The truck parking, that I hit on earlier, obviously, it's a big deal. I mean, if we were not talking about trucks coming to this location, we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation. But the reality is we are. This project in itself requires, for what we do, to have all of the components. We have to have the trucks, we have to have the RVers, we have to have the cars. And it really boils down to the ultimate size of the project. As previously indicated, you've heard numbers from 7.5 million. Right now, our average unit for this year is costing $8.2 million. Costs go up. The project is very large. We have to have a tremendous amount of volume going through there in order to justify that investment. And when you're looking particularly at this interchange, and whether you choose to move forward with this project, Love's, or whatever, certainly at your discretion. But it's going to take a large project at that interchange, somebody of substance, to go in and do that. For those of you who have taken the time to go out and look at the physical characteristics of that site, it does this thing. The amount of dirt work that's going to be required to go in there and make that a usable retail space is tremendous. And you're not going to see a McDonald's or a single gasoline operator or anybody else go in and be able to afford to put retail development at that interchange. It just won't work. And those are the facts. And I would hope that the board would take into consideration that you may find it an aggravation having the interstate. But I'm going to tell you, the interstate is the lifeblood of the United States. Look at all these interchanges, and the ones that used to be rural and you used to have to go 20 or 30 miles before you'd find any development, they're all filling up. And there's a reason. Because the interstates get busier. You need services. You need to be able to provide that kind of stuff. So, as I said, I don't really want to keep going on. I think I hit on the major issues, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have relating to Love's what we're proposing to develop at this point in time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
I know we had a pretty long presentation, but I thanked everyone for their patience, and we invite the council to continue the meeting on with any other public comments. So thank you very much. Yes, sir. I got you.
Okay. That concludes the presentation. So number 13 on the agenda is public comments in support of Love's Travel Center. So again, we'll ask you to come to that microphone there. State your name and your city of residence. Is that good, Bob?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Whoever wants to be first, go right ahead.
Yeah, my name's Carl Simpson. No, Mr. Perry, I'm not a resident of Williamstown.
Thank you.
But one thing I've sat and listened, I had issues about this. Some people asked me, a friend of mine called me from Florida and said, hey, you going to the meeting? I said, well, I'm not a resident of Williamstown. It's all open forum. I went to the open forum the other night, and I noticed that all the council people are up under the gun, you might say. I know how that feels. But one of the questions was asked by one of the questions come from the public, and they asked Mr. Gabbard and everyone else that they said, okay, the arc is coming in, but what would you do during the interim? Each person answered, Mr. Woodyard and Kim. I could understand. Got to Mr. Gabbard. Mr. Gabbard said, well, I talked to somebody at the arc, and they're going to come. But the question was, what are you going to do in the interim? These people have put on a good presentation. I've been through Love truck stops. I've had some dealings with them. They're all clean. The company that my daughter created and my oldest daughter runs now, they happen to use Love's truck stop. No problem at all. Will it make jobs? One of my friends right here. It will make jobs for him, I know. And he's got to go buy parts from KOI or some other place. I think it's going to make a lot of jobs. I know a lot of people's already stuck, and they say, I'm going to stick to my gun. But I'm going to tell you, they put you guys up in them seats to do a job. Just because my buddy says, well, I hate that. I don't want that. You got to put that aside. And I noticed Mr. Skinner put out in the newspaper that he had a shortcoming. His revenue is down. You got to create jobs. I don't vote for any of you, but there's a lot of people out there who's going to vote. So people better you should do your jobs. Make a decision. And I think these people ain't going to cost you a dime, and they're going to start. That's what I'd do. Don't let it get away. If you do, they probably won't never come back. And would you blame them? Thanks, and I appreciate the time to speak.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Gary Cook, and I actually own one of the property there off to the north, off right. Built some commercial lots out there, and property values have continued going down. The 3 lots that I've sold in the last 4 years sold for 1/3 of what they were originally appraised for. Eagle Bank bought 2 lots. It was pre-sold before I built the development, and paid me right around $270,000 for 2 lots, and then Fork Bank sold those same 2 lots for $200,000. So they're going down. Everything's going down. You know, I have a rental property that is hard to keep renters in because most of the people there, you know, they can't get a job locally, and a lot of them don't have a good enough car to get a job in Florence because their car won't make it back and forth every day. You know, but if they had a job making $10 or $12 an hour, local, they could probably get by, but the ripple effect, I guess, is that I've been struggling for a few years with people paying rent. I've had to lower my rent price. It's lower than it was 13 years ago. And, and something doesn't change, it's going to have to go lower because people are still having a hard time paying it. And, that's part of the ripple effect right there. And the housing, sometimes I hear on TV, they say the housing market's getting better. Well, it's not getting better in Grant County, because I buy and sell a few houses and I own a few rental houses. And, I've tried to sell one last year that 5 years ago I could have sold for double what I was asking for it. And I put it on the market for 4 months and couldn't sell it. I had another house with 7 acres that for under $100,000 and nothing. I mean, property values are still going down in Grant County. And if something doesn't come in, it's just going to continue going down. And as far as the other places coming in, if the Loves doesn't come, I know for a fact nobody else wants to come because we've tried. We've been trying for 5, 6 years to get people to buy. And the few people, like the lots that we did sell, the reason the people bought them was because they were a third of what they was originally worth. That's the only reason they bought them. It was just they had no intention of building anything on them right away. They bought them because they were cheap and hoping that they go back up sometime. So they're not building anything on them. I had 8 lots, 5 of them are gone, and nobody's building on any of those 5 and has no plan to in the near future. If Loves comes in, I hope somebody is interested in those. Selling those is one thing, I'd like to have. We have more acreage out there, so, if you know us, we got our house sits on the back of the farm there, so we don't mind if it's a slow process as far as our property, because we kind of consider the whole farm as our retirement, sell a little bit at a time and not worry about it. But it's not, we're not even able to do that. We're not even able to sell a little bit at a time hardly, and when we do, it's just enough to, to give to the bank, and, we're still paying payments and interest on it. So, the ripple effect, the jobs, I think I'm seeing it in the rental business. And I think this will help that along with every other business and just every, citizen in the long run. Thanks.
Next person that would want to speak to it.
I'm Donnie Secrets. Everybody probably knows me. We've had a business here. My dad started a business in 1945 here. And I taken it over in 88, I believe. But I've seen a downflow of everything that's happening here. We need something to start someplace, somewhere to get it rolling. It'll start rolling once you get started. And everybody talks about traffic. You go to 175 Ridgewood. You got three truck stops there, travel centers. The traffic there is not as bad as you go to the next exit, the Mount Zion exit. Y'all can go down there. Traffic backs out. There's no truck stops, nothing there, except there's a couple of gas stations up there, but most of it's residential. They back out on the interstate all the time. And it's always bad there. But the truck stop exit is not near as bad. It flows good. As far as, I run in and out. I do a lot of towing for TA. I do a lot of towing for Florence TA. I'm down there a whole lot, and I've been into a lot of Love truck stops. All of them, crime-wise, there's not that, you have a little bit. You're going to have something, I don't care where you're at. We have it right here in town, right in the middle of town. You're going to have a little bit of it, but it's not nothing like they say it is, what I see. I'm in there at night, mornings, all hours. And I think we need to keep it, get it going for the benefit of our town. Our school, look how much it's going to improve our school. Our taxes for school is either us as residents going to have to pay it, or somebody else is going to have to help us pay it. I think we need to get it done for some reason, you know, for a reason of Williamstown, not for me. I'm looking back from the city of Williamstown. We got too many empty buildings in town, every place. And if you don't have traffic, you don't have people, business. Why did Piles move out of Williamstown and go to Dry Ridge? The traffic count. They done a traffic survey. They had a traffic count. That's the reason they went down there. So if we don't have traffic, you don't have no more businesses. And that's what I think about it. Thank you for everything.
Next.
Good evening. Scott Conrad. I reside in Corinth. I just want to start out by saying I was raised in Grant County. I moved away for a few years. I came back. We built a house, raising my family in Corinth. Another little caveat, my career is law enforcement. I did I've got 7 years total. I've been law enforcement in Grant County for 3 years. As far as crime, I don't see a travel center, and I'm going to say travel center. I'm not going to say truck stop because I think there's a bad stigma when you say truck stop, so I'm going to say travel center. The crime's going to be here. We've got drug problems. We've got crime. You can't get away from it. The travel center, you know, I don't see that it's going to bring any more. If anything, it's going to help us to be able to crack down on drugs. You know, it's hard to find a tractor trailer with the mother load out on the interstate. You have to have a reason to stop them. Travel centers in town, we can run the K9 dog around it. All we got to do is get a whiff of that dog, and we've got probable cause to search that truck. We can get drugs off the street that way. 3 years in Grant County, I've never responded to Nobles in Corinth over a prostitution complaint. Hasn't happened. I live 1.5 miles from that truck stop, travel center, Nobles. I can't hear any noise from it. I can hear the traffic on the interstate, but I can't hear any of the sounds from, you know, the truck stop. As far as, you know, chemical spills, hazmat, I got a tired hazmat driver on the road. I want to have him a place to pull over. I'd much rather him be stopped and resting than passing me at 70 miles an hour on the interstate, fall asleep, swerve, kill my whole family. You know, I can't see but anything but good coming from this. Like they said, business builds business. It's going to draw business to the community, local businesses. I'm all for shopping at home. If I can buy something locally, I'm going to buy it. I know Grant County's had a hard way to go with a few big businesses coming in and a few smaller homegrown ones that have closed. I mean, that's going to happen. So, you know, it's a win-win. I think it's going to be, it would be a very good investment. We've got a company that's willing to invest and help our community grow. I mean, you're going to have competition in business. There may be a few that succumb to it, but I see a lot more benefiting from it. Thank you all for your time.
My name is Wayne Link. I live on Barnes Road. I've lived down there about 21 years or so. I thank the council and the mayor for having us come up and give our opinion on what we think about the Love Truck Stop. I know Donnie, I've known him for years. He's a friend of mine. He's a good man. But I live on Barnes Road. Barnes Road is a dead-end road.
Wayne, will you be speaking in opposition?
Yes, right.
Right now, the public comments are in support of Love's Truck Stop.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm next.
Okay.
I want to speak.
Anyone else speaking for the truck stop?
I'm Roger Robinson. I'm the branch manager of the Wayne Supply Company Caterpillar dealership here in Dry Ridge. And I live in Dry Ridge. And we do have some facts. In addition to the initial impact to our rental business when they start construction, we've done some research as to what this travel center will do for us long term. first year in business, as according to Caterpillar, we will see a substantial increase in our truck repair shop of about 9%. Over a 3-year period, we'll enjoy 31 to 39% additional repairs in our truck shop due to this travel center, which keep Donnie busy also. It's mostly through referrals. Right now, whenever a trucker breaks down, he's either going to be going north to Florence or he's going to go south to Cherry Blossom. There's nowhere in between for him to get maintenance. And being a Caterpillar dealer, we have about 22% of the product on the highways today that we service. And we look forward to this truck stop coming in, truck center, travel center. So we are for it, and we do endorse it. And thank you for your time.
Anyone else speaking for the travel center?
I'm Margaret Poore. I'm just a resident of Williamstown, and everything here keeps going up as far as our utilities, and the cable just went up $5, garbage went up $2, and the council will not seem to help anything come into the city that will bring revenue. They keep raising everything on the residents that live here now. And I worked at a truck stop years ago, and I wasn't into prostitution and I wasn't into drugs. Fact of the matter, I probably wouldn't be here if I hadn't worked for a truck stop, because that's where I met my husband. So I've been a resident here now 50-some years. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Deborah Fitzgerald. I'm a real estate agent, so I am looking forward for anything to come into Williamstown, Grant County, that will bring revenue, that will increase the value of the properties, commercial or otherwise. In addition to being a real estate agent, my husband and I also own trucks. You don't see too many truck drivers here today because they're all on the road working. Grant County has a substantial amount of trucking business people. We make our living on the road, we buy fuel on the road. We have to stop at little gas stations in Grant County, and we really need a larger type facility to keep the business here in the county. It is a travel center. We have campers, we have boats, we have motorcycles that travel to Cumberland Lake. So it's not just truck drivers, it's not just truck people. And trucking people local people are very nice. And the 500 new jobs, to me, is needed in this community. But again, as a truck driving family, we would like to be able to keep our business in the county. Thank you.
My name is Bobby Flaggy. I live in Williamstown, Kentucky, on Webb Oder Road. I grew up on this farm. I can certainly sympathize and empathize with the property owners that live down the road. But change is going to come. You know, I probably one of the people that would like to see it stay the same, but it's not going to stay the same. Probably by the time the people had opposition to development on Barnes Road, probably those issues probably should have been brought up when they were going to decide to put the exit in there to start with. You can't realistically think that a interchange exit would come to a road that started out being out in the country, what, 3 or 4 miles outside of town in a rural area, and not think that somebody was going to put in a gas station or a travel center or a truck stop or a restaurant or something was going to go in on that exit. There's a tree down one of those hollers that me and Bill Allen used to climb up and down. It may be there long enough that Dr. Poore himself might have been able to climb up in that tree, I don't know. But so a lot of fond memories of mine have been taking place on that bird piece of property. And like I say, down there they mentioned something about some lights, you know, we're going to keep the light down. And where I live, I can look out over the horizon and not see any lights. Some people up north would call it light pollution. There's also places where I'm at that you can actually get down in the hollers and not even hear a sound. And that's special in Grant County, and there's going to be a lot of places in Kentucky and then across the nation that's not going to exist. But on the interchange exit, it's going to exist. I think people are talking about economic development, and this is how economic development takes place. It starts out with private companies investing private dollars and put in a business and just create jobs. That's how jobs are created, the best that I know. I am a construction worker. I've been a lifelong construction worker. This is kind of buildings that we build. We build schools, and we build hospitals, and we build all kind of stuff. And so those construction jobs are real, and then that is an automatic impact for the community, initial outlay of dollars. This is going to take place just as soon as they get the okay to go. They said that they're a shovel-ready project, and so I think that this would be good for the community. We had a discussion several years ago that they were going to have the moist and dry vote, and that was one of the arguments that I heard about that was that, well, if we let the restaurants go moist, that we'd have more restaurants to go out and eat. And the last time I drove around Grant County, I don't recognize or see not one restaurant that has come in since Williamstown went wet or moist, however you want to call it. The eating opportunities at the present time are pretty much the same as they were 10, 15 years ago. If anybody knows of a place to eat, I would like to know where it's at, because I looked the other night for one and couldn't go to the same place I've been going to forever. But I like to consider that we're here. I think we're doing a text amendment, okay, for a text amendment, and I think that the text amendment should be approved at this body, and then further discussion can take place in other parts of the county and with other boards. Thank you.
I'm Steve Notstein, and I don't live in the city. Thank you, Mayor and Council. If we was going to protest, we should have protested a long time ago to save the business in the community when Walmart come along. And the jail would have been right behind it. But we're here today for the future. And I own a trucking company called On Track Express. And I do all my fueling and going in to the Loves because it's easy in and easy out. And I just got back from Pennsylvania. I spent the nights in the Love, and I talked to the manager in Pennsylvania, and he gave me this, Mayor. I'd like you to read what's on there, and it's on every front door of every Love.
Our commitment to you
Hold it
is.
up there so the crowd can see it?
Can't do both.
Go ahead and read it.
Our commitment to you is clean places, friendly faces. If you have a comment about this store, please let the manager know or call 1-800-OKL or OK Loves. Loves clean places, friendly places. We'd love to hear from you.
Now that's on every front door of every Love. And when you walk in a Love, somebody's going to greet you. It's even better than Walmart. And
Thank God for that.
as far as drugs, we've probably got more drugs on the street or in Dry Ridge than we have at any travel center. And I think it's time that the area got something. If we'd have been on the ball, we'd have had the NASCAR racetrack years ago. It would have been in Grant County instead of Gallatin County. And if you go over to Gallatin County, you'll see a barbecue place and a service center that is booming. I thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, my name is Larry Flaggy. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. 1990, I relocated to Grant County. I've owned 2 homes, a farm, and I think this would be a good thing for the county. It would keep the revenue in the county. They're not asking for any money to borrow. I've been licensed in real estate since '98. I have a 23-year-old son, an 18-year-old son, and now a 6-year-old daughter, in which they need guidance. There are a lot of drugs on the street right now, and we need to get a grasp on it. I've worked at McDonald's for 4.5 years in Walton of Boone County. I can remember before that was even built. I was brought into that store, and it was so exciting. Of course, the new critters went in. You have the tire discounters there now. But just to witness the kids that would walk from Walton to Verona to McDonald's to work, to be, you know, on the clock, earning some money, and have a little guidance and supervision is just wonderful. It is. I mean, it's just, everything's on camera now. We always encourage the kids, you know, to stick with it and make a career out of it. My first job, unfortunately, was Skyline Chili. So, of course, I remember when the Skyline Chili came to Dry Ridge and La Rosa's. I can remember when there was never an exit off of Barnes Road. So, I mean, it's already rezoned. I think they need to go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I've got to cover my shirt right now. Les Whalen, I live on Falmouth Street. I am a taxpayer. I do own property in Williamstown. And me and the mayor butted heads one morning the last time this come up, and we agreed that we would disagree. But I would like my council members to know, I hope you move forward and bring some growth to our city. The way we stand now, we're stagnant. And I don't see the arc yet, but we do have a shovel-ready project ready to go. And you go up and down the highways and you stop at a Love's Travel Center, you're not seeing some of the concerns that these people have brought up in the paper, such as prostitution, such as drugs. Well, guess what? That's police issues, and they need to take care of it, and they'll do their job if something does come up. But I don't think these business owners are going to permit that to even happen anyways. Hazmat issues, that's far beyond the local level. That is a federal and state level. If they have a spill, I, as the fire chief, or any other of the firemen on our department is going to contact Frankfurt. We're going to report the spill, and guess what? They got to clean it up. Guess what? They have to pay if they don't clean it up. So those issues, state the facts and not just hearsay, and I hope you all can support this project.
Hi, my name's Linda Elliott, and I live in the city of Williamstown.